Hello, this is a short video to get you started on the PDC modules in CSCE 155E and 155H for the fall 2023 semester. This is part of a project that we're doing to try to introduce parallel and distributed computing programming concepts as early as possible in the curriculum. You've already probably filled out the PDC pre-survey, which is a measure of your baseline knowledge of PDC concepts. And now what you need to do is you need to go through 3 modules. The link is available through Canvas, and it takes you to this page. You'll have some for each module. You'll have some reading like we've got here, and then there are some interactive visualizations and tutorials and things. For example, in the first module, we have this visualization that sets up a bunch of tasks and visualizes the computation of both in serial and parallel. Other things will require you to clone some code from GitHub and then actually compile it and run it. None of it will require that you actually write any code, just run code, and full instructions are provided. What I'm doing with this video is to introduce you to how to get to the command line on one of the CSCE servers, because using it in the VS Code and the CS50 IDE is not going to be possible because it's single. There's only one core there, and you'll need access to a much better machine that has multiple cores. For that machine, we're going to recommend the new CSCE server, and I'm going to show you how to connect to it. If you're on a Mac, you're going to want to open up Applications. All right, there we go. And go down to Utilities, and then there's a terminal. Right? There's a terminal app, and it looks something like this when you get into it. It looks something more like this when you get into it. Now what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to SSH into that server. So that's going to be SSH, and full additional instructions will be provided with the video description later. You will use your Canvas credentials. So mine, for example, is cberg3 at csc-linux-01.unl.edu. Right. Now it's going to ask if you trust this host. Just answer yes. You'll only have to do this the first time. And then you will need to enter your password. This is the same password that you would use to get into Canvas. And now you're at the command line. This is much like a VS Code, except that instead of having an editor and a file explorer, you only have the console or the terminal. You can type the same commands, clear, you can change directories and stuff like that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and clone the code, which will be provided. So git clone. And now I've got the code mostly for module 2 and part of module 3. And in there, of course, you've got the C version, which is what you're going to want to use. You've got a Java version as well. You've got the password cracker and then the producer consumer demonstration. More instructions and full details are available in the actual module. I'm just showing you how to get into a server that has, I believe that this one has 48 cores. We'll find out here in a second. Yep, it looks like it has 48 cores total. In some of the write-ups, we were using a different server that had 64 cores, so do be aware of that little difference. If you are on Windows, Windows does have a built-in SSH terminal. It is not necessarily on by default, so you're going to have to follow these instructions, which I'll provide with the video description. Essentially, you need to go to Settings, Apps, Optional Features. You need to enable the Open SSH client, and then open up SSH server, maybe server, I'm not sure. But otherwise, you may have to install it. I'll provide a full example and full links to these tutorials on how to do it. But otherwise, you would do essentially the same thing over here. You would open up a command CMD. So you just hit the Windows button, CMD, that opens up a command prompt. And in there, you would have the same command that I had before, SSH, your LDAP or your Canvas login, followed by at csc-linux-01.unl.edu. Okay? And that's how you get into the server.